1. Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by. Bronze Dragon here, and I'm not alone today. We just had a massive update drop in game, so we're here to talk about it for better or for worse. And as I said, I'm not tackling this one alone. Joining me today is the voice you all know and love in the Atlas Earth community, the man, the myth, the legend, Pharoah Silver. Hey Pharoah, welcome to the Den. How are you feeling about this latest update?
Uh, I'm a little bit mixed on it, honestly. A lot of good things and a lot of things I'm a little bit more cautious about. I think I've talked a little bit about it already, but excited to get to it with you here.
Okay, thanks for joining me. And there's a lot to unpack because we're not only going to be talking about the update, but we're going to talk about our feelings about Atlas Earth, how it's doing in 2026, where it's headed, and the things that are on the horizon. So we've got a lot to talk about. We've seen the landmarks tab disappear and the community feed tab take its place, and the return of Atlas shopping. But it's not exactly what we all expected. We're going to talk about the bid tokens, which also came into the game as well, and whether or not earn to play or play to earn is actually shifting for the free to play crowd. We're going to keep this in a free form type discussion today, so grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get into the weeds with Atlas Earth in 2026. Okay, Farrell, let's start with the elephant in the room, so to speak. The landmarks tab is gone. When you open the tab, or when you open the app and saw the community feed tab, where landmarks used to be, or coming soon landmarks used to be, what was your first thought?
So, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure where Landmarks was going to land on the mobile app because what they were planning on with Landmarks, I feel like it wasn't going to be something that they could just do on the mobile app alone.
Yeah.
Now, now as you know, I'm a software developer myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of know some of the ins and outs of like how, certain developments made in mobile versus development made on the
Yeah.
web and all that.
Yeah.
So I could see a difference between um, what they could possibly have planned, and I'm pretty sure they had something planned in the beginning. But then, as they brought it closer and closer to design, they're like, "Oh man, we probably need this on the web app instead." And so they probably scrapped the landmarks tab because, just quite frankly, they weren't going to have it in the future for mobile. They were planning on
Yeah.
getting something else, and what else is there going to be? Well, that could replace it. That could possibly be more mobile friendly.
Yeah,
Communicate, of
yeah,
course.
I agree. And while I'm not a developer, I've worked closely with them, and I have had some experience in designing Salesforce, customizing Salesforce apps on mobile. And let me tell you this: on mobile, space is at a premium. You can do a lot more on a website and have where you have a full page with lots of room on it. So I can understand where they came out and they said, well, the majority of the landmark experience is going to be actually within the website. So I assume that it'll probably be added to the map in some form or fashion. And they have said in the past that and this isn't nailed down because a lot of this can change, obviously, but they had intended for like sometimes the bigger maybe landmarks across the earth, or they're starting with the United States, will be available to bid on the website, whereas the smaller local ones you'll actually have to go there and bid on them. So I can completely understand. It seems like just an evolution. They seem to be putting out. They seem to be doing their development and doing pushing very small steps live. I can see where this is going. You know, obviously, the community feed. We've talked about this before. The community feed is going to require. That's the only way you could do it is have a tab for itself. However that ended up, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it needed a lot of space. It needed a full tab, right? And
Yeah.
and with them taking most of what is needed for landmarks to the website, then it's a no brainer to me. So it surprising, yeah, but I mean that was a tab that was doing nothing for years, right?
I do think that Atlas Reality, I mean, they could have put out an announcement that like give them a heads up or something on the Reddit or Discord because it did cause a little bit of a shock in the beginning. And a lot of people asked like, "Oh, what did they abandon landmarks?" Even I thought at first, "What did they abandon landmarks?" But then you go to the so if you go to the profile and you go to inventory, you'll
Yeah,
notice the bid tokens there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if you've gotten the update, which by the way, if you haven't gotten the update, go to the I don't know if the Apple Store is automatic or not, but on Android you do have to update it manually.
yeah,
Um, I've been told it's either manual or auto, depending on who you ask for iPhone. But if you have to do it manually, go to the store, update it, then go up to the profile. You'll see something there called bid tokens. And with bid token, and that is basically, you're going to see something very similar to um, Deal Dash or the old
yeah,
Quibids back in
yeah,
the day with
yeah.
it. And if you wanted to explain a little bit more about what these bid tokens are likely going to be like, go ahead, Bronze.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is us guessing, right? Because,
Mhm.
and going back to your initial statement of they didn't release information. By this time, we both know that they are very close to the vest with any new information. Now, I will give Annalise credit. She has gone above and beyond her duty to try and make us aware of things when she possibly can. But usually that's after the change has also already occurred, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, some people flipped out and I was pinged. And to your other point was about updating the app. I'm on iOS and I don't know about everybody, but it seems to me with the last several updates, iOS received the update a day after Android did. And as far as I guess it would have. I'm not good. I don't have enough information as far as how these updates are pushed. What qualifies it for an automatic, push out versus
Yeah.
having to manually go to the store. But either way, it seems like with iOS, it was the day after.
Well, I do know from people who I've talked with who work with mobile development, they do tell me the Apple Store has a stricter process than Google Play
Yeah,
Store. Now, Google
yeah,
Play has gotten a little stricter over time as of late, but you could put just about anything on the Google Play Store and it would get approved. With Apple, they do take a little bit more of a strenuous process, so it does take a little bit longer to get Apple to get it into iOS, and that might be part of the reason why you get it a day or two later.
yeah. It might be, but I don't know. I guess the argument could be made that maybe when they push an update, the update has to go through another vetting process or another QE process before it's pushed live. Or, in my mind, it could just be a timing thing where they set it up and it's just set up to go a day live. Either way, we don't know because, once again, we don't have any contact with the team because we're not on the team. But, uh, you
Right.
know,
Right. And that's another thing I wanted to mention too is like I know a lot of people think that there's a few people that have commented to me like, "Oh, do you know the insides of Atlas Earth? Are you an insider and all that?" I'm like, or do you work for the company even?
yeah,
And I can tell you right now, no, I don't work for the company. No, I'm not an insider.
yeah,
We get like we get a heads up like maybe hours before something
yeah,
might go in, it might be announced, but
yeah.
that's
Just
usually
because just
to
because
coincide with our
Annalise is
schedule.
nice enough. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Annalise is nice enough to help us kind of coincide with our scheduling and whatnot, so that way we know what to prepare for when we're making our videos, so that way we can get videos out faster for you guys.
yeah. But
So,
I would agree with the overall sentiment that it would be nicer if we had more official announcements before things changed, right? So,
right.
and if you're running a update process that's or a development process, you should know when these things are going to go live. Okay. Okay. Next topic. Well, kind of next topic. You already mentioned it, the bid tokens. Okay.
Yep.
So the idea behind these bid tokens are that it will kind of equalize the process of putting in bids on these auctions, which are starting off with the landmarks. Okay. And as you mentioned, I also thought the same thing was that we used to have, and we probably still have these bid websites, right? Overall, they were kind of, I don't want to say they were a scam, but they were misleading. You've probably seen the commercial. Hey, I won this iPad for $5 or whatever, you know. Where those websites made their money was selling you bid tokens. Okay. And yeah, you could bid $1, but you just spent one token and you have to buy more tokens, right? In this case, it's been stated in the official statement that people, even free to play people, can earn these bid tokens. And then you use them and try to use them sparingly because obviously you're only going to have so many, and make them count. Now, what we don't know is what we're going to be bidding with. You need a token to bid, make a bid, but what are you going to bidding? Are you going to bid US dollars or whatever your currency is, or more than likely Atlas bucks? So that's still up in the air. What do you think about that?
Okay, so first off, I do want to make a slight correction regarding what Quibids and Deal Dash used to be like. They did have the bid tokens, very similar to what you're seeing here, but the way that it worked was you place a bid token down, but you could only bid the next penny up. So
Yeah,
the reason why they had those super low prices is, say they started something with 1 cent. If you used a, so if you used a bid token, you would bid only for 2 cents for that item. Then the next person, if they used the bid token, they would bet for three
yeah,
cents, and they would continue bidding its way up until there's someone who won, and then they would buy it for that much dollars.
yeah,
That's how they were able to keep them so low, and that's how they were able to use so many bid tokens. So they actually made their money off the bid
yeah,
tokens to make up back for the cost of the PlayStation. That's why it was, or whatever item that you had. The PlayStation was the biggest example that I saw advertised. I won a PlayStation for $7.89.
yeah,
Great, but it's if it's $5 per bid, that means that they
yeah.
just sold that PlayStation for essentially $4,000.
Yep, yep,
Now, with Atlas Earth, I know they're going to use parts of it with the bid tokens and all that, but I don't think they're going to set something up where it's going to be like exactly 1 to 1 like Quibids or Deal Dash.
yeah,
I think it's going to be that you'll actually get to set your price.
yeah,
So that's what I'm thinking. One, you'll get to set your price, and two, I'm going to be honest, it might. Uh, I think the local ones might be in Atlas bucks, and I think that the bigger ones might be in real dollars.
I hadn't considered that there being a split there.
I
Um,
think it will be a split. And the reason why I mentioned that is because you mentioned the thought of having the local ones being on the mobile.
yeah,
That one I could see they want to keep it to within in game and in game currency. But then you have the web ones where they might want to throw in a USD one there, like the White House or the Washington
yeah,
Monument.
that's still, I'll throw this at you. The idea of it being equalized, that still, I mean, it still throws that out the door because, yeah, we're all going to have a certain amount of these bid tokens, right? But only the people that want to come out of pocket with a bunch of Atlas bucks or a bunch of real money, real bucks, to buy these will actually win. So
Yeah,
you,
but I'm not gonna lie, I'd be a little disappointed if they completely went 1 to 1 on the Quibids Deal Dash model, just because, like, especially since the bid tokens there were actually bought, whereas
yeah,
this one you're going to earn them. I'm assuming, and this is my speculation on bid tokens. Uh, I don't know if this is going to happen or not. I expect that there's going to be like many different ways that you're going to earn it
yeah,
via like maybe a daily login, via maybe a finding them like diamonds, via maybe mini games,
yeah,
or maybe even like challenges. They'll change the challenge structure a little bit,
yeah.
things like that. I could see like it could be just a little bit of everything that they sprinkle into it. But again, that's just my speculation on that.
Yeah, obviously we don't have really any other information on it, and we're just
Right.
speculating right now. So okay, so let's change topics here and move on to the new community feed tab, which is something we've been waiting on for a little while here. They put the new tab in. Obviously, to me, this was logical because if you're going to have a feed and it's along the lines of what they've discussed before. Although it's been quite a while since they discussed it, the idea of having like you post videos or make comments. As a YouTuber, we could post our newest video in the feed, and then people can click on the link and go watch the video. And then if they like it and they want to, they can, donate an Atlas buck to us. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I think I said this on my channel first off that I'm actually not going to put my videos on Atlas Earth,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
I am actually going to be doing a little bit more personal stuff on Atlas Earth. I'm actually planning on talking about like certain interests as well, like pinball and
Interesting.
backgammon. Yeah. I thought I would use as kind of a test run to kind of see like other interests that people might be into. And especially since I think they're going to try to localize it a little bit,
Hmm.
because North Carolina is a very, at least the Charlotte area is a very interesting scene for like different types of activities that you
Okay.
probably wouldn't find anywhere else or you probably wouldn't think would be a big deal. It's a
Okay.
very big deal here in Charlotte. Example, we're like one of the major hubs for disc golf.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that, like we have like one of the biggest disc golf courses. We have like several of the biggest disc golf courses in the world here.
Yeah.
And that's a big one. Another one, we have a pretty decent sized pinball scene here as
Yeah.
well. I've been actually getting a pinball tournaments with my wife, and wouldn't mind talking about that a little bit, and maybe some other stuff too. Like we have a big like nerd culture here, and I think that it would be cool to kind of talk about some of that
Hmm.
instead of just talking about the same. And I might throw a video of like a sneak peek of a video of mine or two somewhere around here too, but I want to like kind of use Atlas Earth for its purpose of being an actual community feed where I
Yeah.
kind of want to bring in a community in a way.
I think it'll
But
be interesting to see what the rules around participating in the feed will be. Atlas Earth is known for having pretty strict rules and pretty strict, moderation, right?
yeah.
That'll really come down to, and that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought of that. Um, It'll come down to the rules on using the feed, right? Okay, I'm going to throw a curveball at you, and think, as a fellow YouTuber, um, one of the ways we used to be able to get subsidize our journey in Atlas Earth, as it were, is the referral program. Okay, as we know, that's been taken out for quite a while, and somewhat the idea of it being replaced by being able to people donate an Atlas buck on a video when you post it. One, do you think that's a good a good replacement? And two, do you think it's going to work? Do you hold out hope for making many Atlas bucks off of it?
I don't hold out hope for making Atlas bucks off of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. Like a lot of people who, okay, that's why I've been kind of putting out these polls lately, seeing like,
Yeah.
do people like Atlas Earth beyond the money? And I think the question that you should ask yourself comes down to if Atlas Earth just became Atlas Empires tomorrow, the entire money aspect of it is gone. Would you still use it?
No.
There you go. And I'm pretty sure if I put that poll out, I'm pretty sure a majority of people would say the same thing. Now, while I do want to try to build a bit of a community, let's not kid ourselves here. The main focus as to why Atlas Earth is as popular as it is, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be a successful game without the money aspect of it, but I'm saying that they wouldn't have gotten to 6, 7 million downloads right now if it wasn't for the money
Yep.
aspect.
Yep. That's definitely what made them big. And it's,
And so for me, I feel like people are going to hoard onto those Atlas bucks, and I would be very surprised. Not everyone, not everybody, but I do think that you're going to get like you'll get a few tips. I'm pretty sure I'll get a few, but I highly doubt that like people will be getting any more enough to even buy a parcel
yeah.
with tips like per month with it in the
Yeah,
top the
that's
top.
very much the way I feel about it too. I feel that it's it's relatively difficult to earn your Atlas bucks in game,
Yeah,
especially when you're a free to play player. and they come so sparingly that people, it's human intuition. You're not going to want to give them up, right? Even if you liked a video, you know as well as I do that it is free to click that like button below your video, right? But you can't get people to do it. You can only get people, a very low percentage of people who watch the video will actually click that like button. Now, let alone that's something that's free, except for 1 second of your time and a click on your mouse, right? Versus actually giving up an Atlas buck, which may have taken you, you know, 10 minutes on a survey to earn. So,
So the way I would do it instead is, I mean, you can leave the tip there if you want, because I'm sure there's going to be some people that will do it. So absolutely, leave the tip there. But what I would do is you got to put advertising on it first off. It just is. You got to have it. You're going to make something similar to TikTok. You're going to have to put advertising similar to TikTok.
yeah,
And after a certain amount of impressions that you get, you will receive one Atlas buck.
that's
That would be the
interesting.
best way I think that you could do that.
That's interesting. Uh, I still think that they need to bring the referral program back. I understand it's a bit selfish, but almost every game I play has a referral program. So my thought on this is they must have looked at it, and obviously the kind of underlying tenet there is it was probably being abused, and they took it out because of that reason. But my thought are, like almost every other game I play has a referral system, and it's got to be good for the game. I know I've brought in hundreds of people. What are your
I
thoughts on
had
that?
to have brought in close to 1,000 myself,
Yeah.
honestly.
I wish there was a way to count or see a count.
I thought they were planning on that, but then I guess they kind of just like decided to stop with the referral program. But I wasn't quite sure how it was being abused because, as far as I know, most people had a limit.
Yeah, well, it changed over time, right? It went
Right.
from having 15 uses on each referral code to
Right. I
unlimited.
remember having a cyclist.
And I remember having to cycle those out, and it was just a big headache. Most of the
Yeah.
games I play now, they just have one code you can use. But I can
Atlas.
see. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say I think Atlas Reality was trying to be fair with people and trying to bring in some kind of incentive to players. So I kind of
Yeah.
understand why they wanted to have that limit set up there.
Yeah. I understand that
So I
too.
get it.
And I can see how it could be abused, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking that it could be brought back in some way that could not be abused. But that seems to be, in this type of game, half of the work is actually developing and making a good game. The other half of the work is preventing people from abusing it.
And you're going to have a lot of people very ripe for abuse with this
Yeah.
stuff because of the money aspect of it.
Yeah, I understand.
Unfortunately, that it just is. It kind of sucks, but yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our last topic, Tesoro. Tesoro went live. The new Atlas shopping program went back into the app this week. So we noticed, or I noticed not a huge change in what was available, but I noticed some, especially my favorite sandwich shop, dropped off. I noticed a few new names on the list that I had never gone to, and they're kind of a little bit further from my house. What was your take on that?
So I did not see much of a difference other than the Atlas store now offering one Atlas buck a
Yeah,
dollar instead of six.
yeah.
That's the only thing. I think I saw a couple new online stuff like edible arrangements. You mentioned a few others too that were on there that I forgot the names of,
Yeah, I noticed.
but
I basically noticed it kind of staying about the same. Some of the older ones cycled in or cycled out, and then some new ones cycled in. And I'm talking about local spots as well as online spots. But to tell you the truth, I had one solid sandwich shop, which we liked the food, and we would be, and I kind of leaned on that for my amp challenges and such.
The salad
But
works.
I used to do the salad works. That was late,
Ah,
the first year I
okay.
played, I ate so much salad from Salad Works and so much yogurt from this particular yogurt shop by where I worked. I was almost tired of them, but they were given 4 to 1. And to your
But
point,
Salad Works had a sandwich. I would eat the turkey bacon club
yeah,
sandwich a lot. It was like $13 though with a bag of chips.
yeah.
Um, yeah, 52 Atlas bucks every time I went there. It was crazy good.
Yeah, yeah, I remember you telling me that. And the next time I went after we talked, I got the sandwich. It was good. But yeah, I got 3 people in my household, ordered 3 salads or whatever from Salad Works, and I'm, you know, in the hundreds of Atlas bucks, right? So that
Yeah.
really helped me out. Obviously, it's all about marketing and it's all about these companies wanting to be part of the shopping program. And, my guess, I don't have any inside information. My guess is whenever they wanted to offer 4 to 1, they would have to pay more for that advertising, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. There's a little bit more priority regarding that because they're getting more out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably what happened, honestly.
I yet
Um,
what it comes down to, I was a little bit let down, right? I was
mhm.
hoping with all the build up and the changeover to the new company, which I understand we'll talk about in a minute, what it further means, which I'm hopeful for. But I was hoping that we would see, some cool new stuff, cool new stores as part of the program. Maybe what they used to, they talked about more than a year ago, some kind of grocery store, some kind of gas station or something like that. But as of right now, I haven't seen that. So
I
the
am
ne-
jealous of this one. I'm jealous of this one person who told me that they got KFC
hmm,
for theirs.
wow.
I was like, I love KFC. Where does he live? So I can go move.
Yeah, that would be great. Most of what I'm seeing is just kind of like local shops, which stands to reason. The local
I
shops are
got
going to.
Jets. I got Jets Pizza,
Oh yeah. Oh,
the one in Huntersville, North Carolina. So I got to go to the west side. We have four Jets pizzas in the Charlotte area. There's one in Monroe. I think that one's on Tesoro. The one in Huntersville is on Tesoro. The one in University Park and the one in Mooresville are not.
yeah, that's a good
So
point
it's
to bring up,
limited.
especially for new
Yeah.
players to the game.
Hmm.
Just because you see like Jets Pizza on the program doesn't mean they're all on the program. You have to go to that specific location, and that
And
bridge is.
part of that,
Go ahead.
sorry,
No, I was
I
going to
was gonna say
say.
part of that reason was because of the franchises. So
Yeah, yeah,
some of them will belong to a different franchise, so
yeah,
they'll want to be on the program, but it's only gonna be for that particular set of franchised companies,
yeah,
franchised stores.
yeah. And that kind of bridges to this is kind of the same topic, but one
Yep.
of my overall hopes for this Tesoro spinoff is the fact that possibly this is one of those things they did to be able to make it easier to bring the shopping program outside of the United States. You know as well as I do that every country has different banking, different gaming laws
Yep.
and stuff like that. And my hope is them totally taking that program, the AMP program, out of Atlas Earth makes it easier to go live in other countries.
I think it does. I think the other part of it is that there's just I don't know. I'm a little bit, I admit, this is not my forte, is like international finance stuff. So I don't know how the laws are like, especially in Europe. Europe has very strict
Yeah,
laws on this kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not quite sure how
GDPR. Yeah.
virtual currency is going to be um, compared to the US.
But that's but
But
that's the thing. Technically now as Tesoro doesn't handle any virtual currency. Okay? So they are the service that links the restaurant to the game. Okay, so it's a I don't want to call software it's more like a platform as a service, a PaaS, right? Because they're going to link, they're going to do everything that's needed for the conversion, buying at a restaurant, hooking up, saying, hey, he got credit or she got credit. And then that information goes to Atlas Earth. Or we've seen some other big games advertised, Roblox and things like that. I don't know if they're going to go live, but I would assume that they would have had to have permission from those big companies to put them on their website to advertise, right? But that's the thing. We completely take that what do you want to call it, the Atlas bucks out of the equation because they're no longer handling that. They just handle, hey, this guy made a charge for $5. You should give him 5 credits or whatever. And it goes to Atlas Earth and they say, okay, give that guy 5 Atlas bucks. Or it goes to Roblox, give that guy 5 Robux or whatever they're called, right?
No, I think that was part of the reason why, and I think I mentioned this before. This is why I had said that I felt like Atlas Earth basically makes is maked or maked, is that a proper word? Is making or breaking based off of the amp now called Tesoro.
Yeah.
It's because I feel like they put a patent on it. They believe in this product. They're trying to use Atlas Earth as kind of a test ride for this product so that way they can show other games, see, this is how this works, and then this is how it worked for your game. And I really do think, and this is just my opinion, again, complete speculation here, they need a big name to sign
Yeah,
with Tesoro
definitely.
in 2020, if not by 2026, by early 2027.
Yeah, definitely. I completely
It
agree.
doesn't have to be Fortnite or Roblox, but it has to be a recognizable name to legitimize Atlas Earth.
Yeah, but to me, to even use those games' logos on their website, they would have to have some kind of permission from those companies.
Well, they would, I would assume they would get a license. They would buy a license for it.
Yeah.
They'd buy a license to use it, and they would get like a share of the royalties and all that. Because I'm pretty sure they're selling this product, this idea to them. They're going to
Yeah.
get a share of the royalties, and they're going to
No,
have to make sure that they split some of the revenue with the game too.
I understand. It's just the overlying premise that if they use their logo on Tesoro's website and they don't end up going live, that's somewhat of false advertising.
True. But
But
I'm
what do
still,
I know?
I'm assuming that they're going to have it signed with them at that point, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I last time I looked at the Tesoro website, they were not. I mean, the the little button uh,
Oh,
was
I know what
was
you're. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
was
I know what you're
still up
talking
there to
about.
pre-sign up. To me, and that was surprising too. I'll just throw that out there, and I'll let you put your comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was surprising me because you went to the Tesoro website. I did, and I signed up early with the
Mhm.
button, and I was expecting to receive an email. Hey, our service is live, just like everybody else spams me, right? Didn't receive any of that.
I didn't either. So,
So I was completely surprised when Annalise said, hey, and people started talking about the service being live. Okay, before
uh,
we do our hot take round, do you have anything you want to say and wrap up?
no, like I said, I feel like, and I still believe this, that Atlas Earth is going to live or die on Tesoro.
Yeah,
And I'm really hoping for its success. It's an awesome idea. And hopefully, we'll see some companies that are going to take the idea, and it will, in my opinion, it will legitimize Atlas Earth in that sense by design as well.
yeah. I
I
love the
think the main reason, I think another reason why they also changed it from the AMP program to Tesoro was partially because of the Atlas Earth name. So Atlas Earth doesn't exactly have the, undeservedly, mostly, the best reputation. So by changing the name to something else that's a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more palatable for bigger companies, they could say, "Hey, this is a different company. This is a product based off of this company. Atlas Earth is just a client." You want to try this out, so that way it'd be a little bit, a little bit better for other bigger companies to try to see, oh, this is a pretty good product, and look at the product itself rather than the game that it's practically based on at this point. But
Yeah,
I'm just,
I think it was more about removing um, that whole system from the game. So there's the Atlas bucks and everything that goes into that, and buying parcels is not even associated with the platform where that's linked to the
yeah.
restaurants and stuff like that. And that's overlying that is, I think, one of the points is that's going to make it easier to get live in other countries, which we have tons and tons of our subscribers and viewers that talk about that. And I understand that they need to bring this into other countries. They've been great at bringing the game into new countries, but the people playing outside the United States are missing a lot of the things we have available for us inside the United States.
Yeah.
Okay, any final comments?
Nah, let's go to the hot take round.
Okay, we got the hot take round going. Question number one: landmarks or community feed? Which gets launched fully first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, landmarks.
You think landmarks
I,
is going to go live before the community feed? Well, I'm going
I
to
do
go
think so.
against you on that. I'm going to say the
All
community
right.
feed gets launched. And what
All
is
right.
your reasoning?
Okay, so I feel like from what they would talk about, the little bit that they would talk about with the landmarks versus what the little bit they talk about with the community feed, I feel like they got more going with the landmarks right now. I feel like it's further along than the community feed. I know community feed they started alpha testing, but it feels like they have the foundations for the landmarks ready to go, as if they're getting ready to get that out within the next month.
Yeah,
Community feed,
I
you go
believe
ahead.
that Annalise had said that they're testing landmarks right now, and that is a good point. But my
Yeah.
point on the community feed is it's going to make them money. When this goes live, there's going to be some way woven in. It's a business, right? You got to make money. So one of the reasons behind this is going to be make some more money for the company, right? And you, as well as I know, that projects that make the company money are on the front burner. Um, Projects that don't make the company money, and I don't think that landmarks are going to. I don't know. Obviously, as we talked about earlier, when the details come out, we're going to know how if landmarks actually make the company money. So, okay, question two: your 2026 outlook. How do you feel Atlas Earth is doing in 2026, and where do you see it going later on in the year? And you can kind of loosely compare it to other play to earn platforms and games we've seen and what they've been doing lately.
I'm going with like I think that Atlas Earth is kind of a little bit of both, honestly, right now. It felt like that they were really taking this year, they're going to take this year by storm and start releasing a bunch of stuff out. And now they're starting to, but they definitely had a bit of a slow start. I'm going to say they're definitely on a building phase right now, though.
Okay.
Overall, if I had to think overall. But they're definitely going a little bit slower than I would like at this point.
I agree. I agree with you. I definitely see the signs of how their development is going, but just from where I'm coming from, it just seems like a very, very slow development phase. Um, okay, and the third and final question for this hot take round: if you had one wish, what would you fix about the current state of Atlas Earth? What would you fix or change?
Let me think. Let me think. Um, I personally feel like Tesoro should have had. They should have at least waited a little bit longer with Tesoro until they had like a big name signed,
Yeah,
ready to go.
that's a good.
Cause right now it just feels like Amp with a paint job,
Yeah.
and that made it feel a little bit underwhelming for me. And especially when this is, in my opinion, the keystone of Atlas Earth right now. You really have to take care of this and put that into consideration that this is your baby. You got to make sure that you got to make sure that this program uh, succeeds. And for it to succeed, you want to get hype out. Right
Yeah.
now, there's just not much hype out for Tesoro right now.
Yeah.
And the best way to get the hype out is to get that big signee. They
Yep.
say they have several big signees ready to, like they're in talks with. I want to see that happen.
Yeah. There's a
I know they're
difference.
capable of it.
There's a difference between being in talks and landing that big fish.
Right.
Okay, I agree with you. Obviously, I think my big thing, I'll die on the hill, is that I still think the referral program needs to come back.
Referral program. Okay. The
But
thing is with the referral.
I was going to
Okay.
say I agree on the AMP program. I think that it looks good. The website, Tesoro website, looks good. How they put it into the game, the new UI UX looks good. Is kind of hyped a little bit within the game, not outwardly, right?
Yeah.
But I was just hoping for some when it was relaunched to have some, like you said, like a big name brand or something or other, a big expansion of what was available.
Yeah. I mean, they had a couple like online expansions, but nothing that was. I
Yeah.
guess edible arrangements is decent, but I'm thinking like, big names like a gas station
Yeah.
would be nice.
Yeah, like they talked about a year and a half ago. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's hard to do. I can
Yeah.
understand it's hard to land those big advertising fish, so to speak. But
Right.
we can hope, right?
Right. Yeah. Of course. Of course. I mean, if Upside's able to do it, I don't see why they couldn't.
Yeah. Any last words?
Uh, y'all, this was great. Kind of enjoying this, and been talking a lot with Bronze about doing more of these with him as well. You might see something a little bit more regular. We'll see down the line. I know I've been busy the last couple months and have had a lot of stuff going on,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes, Bronze.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining me, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. And as always, this has been Bronze Dragon and Pharoah Silver, and we'll see you in Atlas Earth.
Pharoah Silver signing off. See you next time.